Welcome, everybody. It's time once again for the next chapter with Charlie Hedges as he explores turning the page on his life and yours. Hey, Charlie.
Hi, Paul. You know, today is the very first show of the next chapter with Charlie for the new year of 2023. And I was thinking, who would I have as a guest on the show? And I thought right away of my dear friend Rand Sperry. Rand Sperry, we want to talk about what might make up a good year in 2023. And I thought of a man who lives a well-meaningful, successful, well-rounded, there you go, well-rounded and full family life. And I thought I'd talk to Rand, and I'm very excited about doing so. But what I want to do is I want to discuss a statement made by leadership guru, he's sort of the Tony Robbins type guy, except and he's very, very successful, Brendon Burchard. And he has a take on what it means to live a life of purpose and leave a legacy that means something. Brendon suggests something like this: at the end of our lives, we will all ask in one way or another, did I live? Did I love? Did I matter or contribute to society? And it seems to me that if we approach life with those three questions in mind, we just might be able to say, yes, I have lived a good life. So let's have our time together with Rand Sperry. Rand Sperry, welcome to the next chapter with Charlie.
Charlie, thank you for having me on. It's great always to talk to you and converse back and forth on the meaning of life and it means to us and everyone else.
Well, you are such
Fire away.
You're such a highly respected man for me, and I see you as a model in so many different ways of living life. What do you think about approaching Brendon's three ideas of did I live, did I love, did I matter, or I put also there contribute? Do those seem like good questions to you?
They're great questions.
Yeah.
Great questions.
Now, when I was thinking of did I live, that almost is the primary question, because I think we end up oftentimes living almost by accident or by following some sort of procedure that someone has set, that we have a certain kind of job and a certain kind of marriage and certain kind of activities that are told to us almost secondhand. We get them from our parents, we get them from our peers, from our education, but it's not firsthand. What does it really mean to me to truly live? And as I was thinking about this, Rand, on my web presence, the next chapter with Charlie, I have the subtitle, In Search of Meaning, Adventure, and Awe. And occurred to me that those are really three important aspects of life: meaning, adventure, and awe. What are your feelings on that?
Makes total sense. I, very young age, decided that I wanted to live, and I wanted what I did to mean something, and I did want a legacy, and started with basically doing a bucket list. I'll never forget that movie that was The Bucket List. It's pretty entertaining, but so true that we really should set really broad goals at young an age as we can. I mean, even if you're a teenager. I remember one of the first things that I wanted to do was I wanted to have my own company. It sounds crazy as a teenager, perhaps, thinking that. I did. I wanted to graduate from college. That meant something to me. And then I wanted to go out and figure out what I want to do in the world, and I wanted to make an impact. And really has to start in your head, and you have to have that vision, because it's not hard to go up 50 or 60 or 70 years from being a teenager and going, that's a short time, really. in the world perspective, what do I want to accomplish and what do I want to do? And it's so amazing to me that I would bet 80% of the population doesn't think about that. They just are trying to make the next buck and buy the next Starbucks. And, making your life count is what I've always wanted to do. Now, there are people out there that don't really, they're happy if they get a job, get a paycheck, go home, maybe get married, maybe have kids, and that's it, and retire. And they're perfectly happy with that. So I'm not going to get down on that type of individual, but I just know that's not for me. So I'm happy to be every day trying to make a difference.
It's almost a blessing and a curse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It does feel good once in a while to just sit down at home and relax and have a drink and a cigar, in my case.
There you go.
Do nothing. But that's part of it. I do that. But I do have a pretty active life, as you know, and for your audience at large, I have 6 children. They're all married except one, and he's engaged. So his fiance is part of our life as well. So I really have 12 of them, and then my wife and I is 14, and we have 2 grandchildren and 1 on the way. And, I didn't think of that when I was a teenager. I knew I wanted to have a family and get married and have a family, but my wife I would have been happy with 2 or 3 kids, and somehow we ended up with 6, and I, of course, don't regret any bit of that.
A basketball team with a bench player.
Yeah, with an extra. And, even when I started my company, which is a commercial real estate company, I didn't really do it just to make money. I wanted to be the best. And I also wanted to change the industry. In the commercial brokerage, one of the things that is not that commonly known is that brokers do not like to cooperate. When they list a property, they want to find the buyer and they want to get both ends of the fee.
Who doesn't want to cooperate?
Brokers, for example.
Brokers. I thought you said hookers, and I'm thinking hookers do not want to cooperate.
You pay them.
Rand, we're getting a little personal on this show.
No, I'm talking about the real estate brokerage community.
Okay.
Likes to keep things to themselves. And I started a company along with a guy named Mark Van Ness where we cooperated. We listed something, we made a commitment to share commission with the other brokers in the community, and it really gave us that edge that we needed to grow the company into a national real estate company.
Where did that come from, Rand? I mean, is it a personality? Is it parents? Is it the peer group that you're with? Is it all of the above? I think personality and parenting have so much to do with it, but it is personality, because you can have 2 different people with the same parents that one has your goal and the other has, I just want to live an ordinary life. And
the perfect example is my family. My brother worked for United Parcel Service his entire life and retired with a nice nest egg, as they got stock every year. He was in management.
Sure.
And he retired at 55 years old. And here I am. I'm going out trying to slay the world, and it's like, where did it come from? I think it is a lot of his personality, and a lot of it was, your parents. Like in my case, my dad could see that I was always looking for more, and he would mentor me in that direction, even though he didn't do it to the extent I did. He knew, he fed the beast, and gave me the ideas. He's the one who told me you should get into commercial real estate. He's the one who told me I should buy apartment buildings, create passive income, and I followed that path, even though that was not his path. And I didn't mind hard work. That's the other thing. Because like you said, it's a blessing and a curse. Being out there and contributing to society in ways that not just help you, but make a difference in the world and to other people, does take work. It does take effort.
It does take work, and it's a pain in the rear sometimes with all of because it is political, it is social, it has, you have all of the internal conflicts. It's not It's not an easy deal, but the end result is so much better than just making an extra 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 bucks. It's incomparable. That isn't meaning. I want to talk about meaning, but before I talk about meaning, I want to talk about something that's very important in yours and your wife's life, and I think your kids have taken hold on this too, and that's in my trilogy of meaning, adventure, and awe. You guys are really big in adventure and awe. I mean, how many trips do you take in a year? I mean, I know you've got to take 3, 4, 5 trips a year where you're visiting other countries, other societies. You have a place in Chicago where you go and it's a whole different set of friends. Adventure and awe are very important in your life, aren't they?
Oh, I think so. I mean, that really to me is even more important than the money. I love the adventure and the awe. And some guys have a beautiful home on the beach, and I'm like, that would be more of a curse than a blessing to me, because when you have something like that, that's what you do.
Yeah, you clean the windows every day because of the salty water.
Yeah. and like, my wife and I are heading to Antarctica middle of January, in a couple weeks, and I'm excited about it. And it's crazy because, I mean, it's not a cruise to different countries. We hop on the boat in Uruguay and we march right out to the Arctic, and we spend 8 days there, and then 2 days there, 2 days back. And this particular boat had an accident about, I think it was the middle of November, where wave hit it. I forget what they had, a rogue wave. And it really knocked it on its side, and it actually killed a 62-year-old woman. And it's so funny. I thought, my wife's going to cancel. Nope.
No. Yeah, Rosemary's a trooper.
It was the boat we are going on. It wasn't a boat at Antarctica. It's the one we are going on. So, and I'm like, well, okay, he's okay. It's like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And I know that was a big thing. So I'm not really worried about it. And I'm very excited for the trip. We love to do that, and we can do more of it now than we did when our kids were younger, but still managed to get to 55 countries with our children. And over 100 for myself. I think I'm at 103 and she's at 100.
You're at 100 countries?
Yes.
100? I mean, I thought I'm at about 35, and I thought I've really gone to a lot of countries. 100 countries? That's like Charlie, a third of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's close to 200 countries. It's about a half.
Oh my goodness.
When you talk to people, I typically don't know that many people that have traveled to 35 countries. Still a lot of countries, and I'm embarrassed to say, if I would have asked the last 3 or 4 presidents of the United States, I bet they haven't been either. I mean, it's amazing. You kind of wonder, like, oh my God, the president of the United States has never been to Europe. I won't make any comments on who that was, but that's the kind of world we live in. People tend to not gravitate outside their own little sphere, and I think they're missing out on a lot.
What do you think it is about adventure that is so, because, it's huge for me, and I'll give you a little example that a lot of people think, because we talked about travel, that it calls for a lot of resources and it takes quite a bit of money to do it, but it's not essential. Like, I was planning 6 years ago or so of taking trips to Europe where I was going by myself and I would be doing a lot of walking. So I wanted to kind of just test out what walking was, and I bought my clothes from REI, that I would have my walking shoes and pants. And then I just walked. Now, it won't mean a lot to people who don't live in Southern California, but I walked downtown Garden Grove to middle of the Orange Circle. What would that be? Orange? Yeah, so the middle of Orange, and I took a day's walk, and that was an adventure. I'm right here in Southern California, right in the middle of, there's not beautiful countryside, it's just houses and all, but it was a great trip. I took myself a little backpack and some water and snacks and stuff, and just kind of walked and stopped and would look at shops and enjoyed downtown Garden Grove, which I didn't even know there was such a thing as an old town Garden Grove, which is just totally delightful. But that's the kind of adventure. It's stepping out of not my comfort zone, but my regular zone. Stepping out of what I do day to day and experiencing. And I think in there, Rand, is a hunger for learning. What do you think?
What you just described, Rosemary and I love to do in Chicago. We will leave the apartment and we will be gone for 5 to 6 hours. We will head out and we'll walk 2 hours, 2.5 hours, grab lunch. We're on the other side of Chicago by that time, and come back. And she has her little steps to give you an idea. It's 19 to 20,000 steps. And it's about 6 or 7 miles.
I was going to say that's a lot of miles, isn't it? That's a 5 mile walk a day, a 6-7 mile walk a day is great.
Yeah, and you see things you don't see when you're in your car.
You don't.
That's the learning part you're talking about. It's like, wow, look at the architecture of that building, and wow, look at how small the windows are on that building. Oh, I didn't know they had that store here in Chicago. Yeah, there's just so many different things that you see and you smell. You smell food, you smell the outdoor greenery, the gardens, flowers, things, in your car, you got your air conditioning on, the music on, and you're just trying to get where you want to go. And you really don't really see things. See, smell, and hear. Those senses are important, and we don't get that by just driving in a car. So
no, you pass them way too quick, and you're not paying attention. I'm a self-confessed Europhile. I just love Europe, and particularly I love the architecture. I will walk and then I will stop at a building, just like what you were talking about, and I can sit for 15 minutes and just admire the building. When I was drawing, I was drawing for a while, and I'm not really a skilled artisan like that, but I still was drawing buildings. And how much love I got from drawing the building and looking at the building, admiring the genius of the man-made architecture behind it. And that is, I think adventure is just stepping out of, as I said, not your comfort zone, but your regular everyday zone. Now, what about awe? What kinds of now buildings give me awe? That's adventure, but buildings I get awe from. Great architecture, bridges. I love bridges. I'm a huge fan of bridges, no matter what country they're in. What is it about awe? Are you impressed with that aspect?
I look at architectural structures, like you said, bridges, high-rise buildings, different, unique type of architecture, and I go, all of that, by the way, came from this earth. In other words, it's kind of weird when you think of it. At one time, it was all just earth, and somehow they managed to make this bridge, and make it work. And so it took, finding the resources in this earth, this planet, and then molding them and creating them to be strong enough to hold cars on them, and then somebody having the intelligence to design it and engineer it so that it works. And that's what goes through my head.
And to make it beautiful. And, bridges, there are bridges that are just extraordinary.
And it's just an amazing thing. I mean, I know we digress from, what's the meaning of life. And
no, we don't digress. This is what we're not just talking meaning of life. We're talking about living a full life. And I think living in awe is living a full life. It's an appreciative, grateful, understanding of the magnificence of the world. We talk about awe, and we talk about, we get into nature, Mount Shasta, the mountains, the snow. I find, and the city gets poo-pooed by people who are of the nature ilk, but I find man-made is sort of God-created talents that a human being created something, as a creator created the earth, created something of magnificence that can be appreciated. Look at the cathedrals in Europe. I mean, they're scary. They're just, they're scary beautiful.
Charlie, some of these are 1,500 years old. I mean, the average is about 1,000 years old. And I was just on a cathedral tour this last summer, and we saw churches every day. One would outdo the other, and it's just like, and you do not see that here in the United States like you see it in Europe. That's one of my favorite things in Europe. There's so much. It is very different than the United States,
especially in Orange County. We are all about facades and like Las Vegas, fake pyramids and fake this and fake that, and they're going to last 20 years and fall apart. As we're on Live, let's talk briefly about meaning. And I have a hard time doing this without talking about family, and that's going to be next. But what types of things, apart from your family, offer you a sense of meaning in life? Can you think of anything?
Well, it's probably that part of contributing. And in other words, to me, it's helping make a difference in a person's life. I don't know if that's meaning, but it's important to me that, because I felt like I've been treated pretty well in life. So many different people that have given me a hand. And so it's important for me to help others that need that same end. And that brings a lot of meaning in my life, helping them. So I'm not sure if that's where you're going.
Yeah, I think, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm questioning. I'm in a questioning period, and I think I would agree with you that it is service. That is what gives me meaning, is when I have been divinely and graciously gifted with certain talents, as has everybody else. And if I can use those talents to contribute, then that is meaning in life. I know, I don't know if it's falsely, apocryphally stated, but I have heard it. Aristotle once said, the purpose of life is to contribute to the value of society.
Yeah.
And I like that. Let's move on to the next one, because I kind of want to go through this podcast and just give people ideas of what they can do. So living first-hand lives, not second-hand lives, and not couch potato lives. But the last one, or not the last one, the second one I would talk about is Brendon says, did I live? Did I love? And, here's another area you excel. And I don't know if we'll have time to talk about all four relationships, but I've listed four different relationships. One are typically our family and our, handful of 3 or 4 or 5 very, very close people to us. So there's one, the very close, very important family. Second one is casual relationships like work relationships and neighbors. They're important relationships that we get along, we can chat, we can dine, but they're not on the level of family and friends. I have a third weird one, Rand. Maybe let's talk about my third weird one first. And you know what relationship I think is important, that tells more about me than almost any of my other relationships? And that's how I treat salespeople and sales clerks. I think that tells more about the kindness, the capacity, the humanness of an individual than anything else. Rather than think they're not there to be my servant, they're there to assist me in purchasing or acquiring something that's important. And I see far too many people treat sales clerks, go in and look at clothes and will look at a sweater and open up a sweater and just throw it back on the rack and, and creating all this work for people. And it's just, I don't know. Do I sound weird saying the way you treat salespeople really talks about your character as much as anything?
Well, being a salesperson pretty much my whole life, I appreciate what you just because I've met some real jerks that treated me like, SHIT, and here I am bending backwards to help them either sell their project or them to buy a project that really makes sense for them, but they don't even know it. But so I appreciate that. I think one of the telltale things of understanding person that I don't know that well is to go to lunch with them and see how they treat waiter or waitress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Service people. Yeah. How do you treat? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's huge.
I think it tells a lot. And honestly, I think when people are being difficult with service people, typically they're not happy themselves. I mean, that's really what's going on. You're not happy about where you are in life or what you have not achieved, or some personal things going on in your life. And when I would train salespeople, because I'd warn them, you're going to go out in that world there and talk to people, and some of them are not going to like you. They don't want to be sold. And you have to understand that they're probably, in many cases, even the person who cuts you off, the road rage we see, if we could sit down and talk to those people, something happened in their life. It could be as recently as the hour before they got in the car or the 20 minutes before they got in the car, to the fact that they got laid off or they got fired or
they're in or nothing else. They're in a hurry and we don't know about it, that they've got a meeting that they've got to get to or something important, and they're going to cut people off because they got to get there.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And so you have to understand that it's not personal to you, their behavior, but see people be good salespeople and people of service. Just tell you something, because no matter what's going on in their life, because no one's having a perfect life, let's face it, they maintain that ability to treat others with the respect they deserve.
Respect and kindness.
It's a beautiful person.
Kindness is one of my top values that I respect from other people, and it is something that I attempt to live by. And people of all, just all aspects of life, because I try to be unusually kind and appreciative and say kind words to people. You can't believe how that comes back on you. When I go to restaurants, I'm treated well. When I go to the store, if I know somebody, they take care of me. And it's not because I've paid them extra money or anything. It's just because I've been flat nice. What is it? What does it take to be nice? It doesn't call for much.
It is amazing, and like you said, it comes back tenfold. I just had that experience before I got on the phone with you. I was in South Coast Plaza here in a store, and the salesperson went out of their way get product I was looking for to make sure I got the rewards points, because I was in Bloomingdale's and this product.
And God knows you need reward points.
Yeah, and you can buy the same thing in the main store down the mall, and she didn't have it in stock. She called the main store and convinced them to let her go get that inventory, bring it to me, just so I could have the rewards points. She didn't have to do that.
Oh,
that was
that
so
is so
amazing.
kind. Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah, and those are the things that make a difference. When we can talk about loving of our, the love we give that are people that are close to us, but the love that we show, the kindness that we show to strangers, or people that we contact with in business is absolutely critical. So it's how I live my life, how I love, and there's lots of love. There's lots of critical things. We could spend the whole show on love, but I want to talk about the last one, and I want to talk about it's did I live, did I love, did I matter? We already covered this, but I think this may be one of the most important. They're all three important. They're all three critical, but this is critically important, and that is, it has. I look at it as somewhat of a legacy. The people I serve, the people-oriented causes that I serve, and I'm not sure we are taught this. We were taught this. Perhaps I think I learned it as a kid in the 60s, but this is not a big topic today, is it? About serving and caring and participating in the well-being of other people.
It's a good topic you came up with today. Great way to start the year.
Let me tell you about my legacy and see what you think, what I would like my legacy to be. I am afraid of being known. I like being unknown. I like being just the guy that does the things without people knowing who the guy that does the things. So my legacy is a legacy of kindness and love, good-spiritedness, helping people. And I feel like if I do that, it doesn't make a difference to me if people, after I'm dead, if people know that Charlie did that. What's important to me is that I spread sort of a karmic, a mentality out there, and that other people are loving and kind and compassionate. And if I can be an initiator of that and help other people say, that really worked. I saw that really worked with somebody that I know. That is the legacy I want to leave. I don't care if I learned how to be kind through Charlie. I could care less, because I know it's a friend that once told me, Charlie, want to know about your legacy is stick your fist in a bucket of water and pull it out. And as long as it takes for that water to fill the hole back up, is as long as you'll be remembered.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think that's a great legacy, and your viewers, if they don't know, I'm going to tell them that you spend a tremendous amount of your time being out at Wells of Life and making a difference in thousands of people's lives in Uganda, and they don't know who you are. And even the people at Wells of Life, really, or the contributors that give money don't realize how hard you work, and you do it out of the goodness of your heart. You don't get paid, and you don't get honored for that, really. So you're making a huge difference, and you're creating a legacy, but one legacy of life for other people, so that they can go on and live a full life, not die because they've too much contaminated water. So, I mean, and I know you've done a lot more than that in your life, but right now, that's what I know about Charlie Hedges. And me, that's the thing. It's not your name on the building that's so important. It's what did you do to really affect life of another person? Did you make a difference? I've heard people say, if you've made the difference in just one person's life, you've lived a good life. You've got a legacy. You've done something. Well, hopefully we've done that with our children, but it's got to go beyond that as well, at least my mind. Because if you've got the talent and the treasure and the time, you should use it and give back and create a legacy that may be unknown, but you've made a difference. You've contributed. And so, tell you this, the people closest to you will know, and that legacy will continue in your life. I look at my kids. I know that when I'm long gone, my kids and my grandkids will remember things about me.
Right.
I hope they will take and teach their children. So,
well, it helps if you have a tribe. When you only have one child, that's one thing. But you've got a tribe, so that makes a big difference. You are really one of my ideals of a person who I think has attempted consciously and unconsciously to live, to love, and to make a difference. I think you are a model for me, and that's why I so respect you and so happy to be your friend. You're a fine man, Rand Sperry. Okay, that's all I have for today. I wanted a bit of a shorter show, and I think we talked about what is going to count in 2023. Live, love, and make a difference. Thank you, Rand Sperry. And for the last minute to be able to come on the show, you are a very gracious human being.
Happy to do it.
Okay, I want to thank all our listeners for listening to The Next Chapter with Charlie. And please be sure to check us out at our website, thenextchapter.life. And until next, this is Charlie Hedges signing off. Bye for now.